Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Quacks podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Dozer, and if you're new to the show, the mission here is to expose the quacks and gimmicks in the marketing industry while featuring some great marketers and entrepreneurs along the way. On this episode, I'm excited to welcome my guest, McGill Davis. Now, McGill is the co-founder of Rize, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that again, which is a smart time tracking app using AI to help people work more efficiently. So, McGill, thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to get into it today.
Yeah, and it's Rize before I mess that up again, right?
Yes, yeah, no,
Rize.
no worries.
Okay. Yeah, so let's
Rize,
do a quick intro on kind of who you are and what you're doing with Rize.
As you mentioned, my name is McGill. I'm one of the co-founders of Rize. We started Rize almost 5 years ago, and the focus was really on basically automating time tracking and improving productivity. So if you've ever worked, if you ever had to track your time, it can be extremely cumbersome. Additionally, Rize provides a lot of insights and nudges on how to improve your productivity. So not just from the productivity boost from automatically tracking your time, but we also build on that and do things like show your focus, remind you to take breaks, show how much time you've worked. That's really the concept. That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, for sure. And this is one of the first episodes where I've talked about the productivity side of AI. And I'll be honest with you, there's so many of these apps and these extensions where it's like, boost your productivity with the help of AI. But like, what does that really mean? Like, what is Rize's main selling point there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the core of Rize is actually, and what we've been working on for 5 years is automation. So that even comes before AI, where basically the way Rize works is we're a Mac OS and Windows app, and we run on your computer, and we track the apps and websites that you're using, the active window. And basically from there, that we show you exactly how you're spending your time and build a timeline of your day. So that part of the app can almost be thought of like a screen time, but sort of on steroids. And so what's really cool where AI comes into that is then from there we have like basically your, what you've been working on and a stream of that. So we can, look at that, feed certain things into AI models to, add a bunch of additional productivity features. So I would say the automation is the ground, is like the foundation. And then where AI comes into play is a few ways. So for example, we have a focus quality score, and we will automatically detect when you're focused. So you just work on your computer, and we're going to show when you were focused, when you were taking breaks, when you were in a meeting. And then building on that, we will look at the quality of your focus too. So we run that. We have like an in-house algorithm that's going to look at your activity, and as you rate your focus session, it's going to become more and more personalized to you.
Yeah, really I think cool. I was talking to either you or one of your reps at the company, and my biggest concern was the data privacy element. I'm like, this is cool, but like, I don't really want to install another piece of software on my computer. Yeah. Big tech's already terrible about this. We're having AI surveillance now. So like, talk about the data privacy component a bit.
Totally. Yeah. And that's a super valid concern. So I would say we've addressed this in a few ways. First off, Rize you can really granularly control what is tracked. And I would say, first off, Rize never tracks the content of the window. We only track metadata. So that means it's going to be URL, app name, or the window title. And then from there, you can actually really granularly control what is tracked. But the benefit of not tracking window content is actually most valuable information, passwords, everything like that, that's going to be within the window. We will never touch that ever. But then in addition, you have that metadata like window title, URL, app name. So from there, you can really granularly control what is tracked on that set, what is stored. So for example, if you only want to track URL domains, so you could just track docs.google.com. You're going to lose out on some of those automations and some of those AI features,
right?
Because you won't have the granularity, but that's a totally valid trade to make if that's something you're worried about. Similarly, you can cut out window title. You can ask not to track certain apps or websites completely. So it's super customizable. The other aspect I'll call out there is you can run Rize to redact your data on a set schedule. So like basically, and we have a lot of users do this. So we will track all your data, process it, but then, every week you want us to fully clear out anything that's tracked. You can automatically set that up in your privacy settings so that just everything is fully cleared out. And so basically with the combination of those measures. Oh, and there's one other thing I'll mention for the more technical people, but we actually pseudo-anonymize all tracked data in a separate database. So we don't store it together with your user information. It's stored completely separately. And then, you can choose to redact that as well. A lot of our users want to keep that. We have a lot of users and marketers and developers that are using Rize from a business standpoint, not just a productivity standpoint. So they want to keep that history. It's much more of a feature. And that's important. But if you're worried about that, or you want to use it strictly for productivity, you can redact all that data and it retains your metrics and your categories, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? The biggest thing, I guess, for me as a creator is shiny object syndrome, right? I'm in the AI space and there's shiny new toys every single day. So talk about how Rize can help with something like shiny object syndrome.
Well, yeah, I think that's great. I think one thing that sets Rize apart, which is really cool, is the way the time we've invested a lot of time into tracking, like building this data pipeline. So AI is going to be smarter and better when it has better and more accurate data, especially that it's automated. So our features, basically, we have a lot, I would say we have a leg up on a lot of other apps because we can just build, you just install Rize and let it run. And then we basically can build on that data pipeline, whereas most of these other new productivity apps, don't have access to that sort of information, which means they're limited in how much they can actually help you.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I want to talk
Yeah.
about Marketing Rize kind of as an AI SaaS play here. What has been the
Yeah.
most effective channel, I guess, for growing your user base? How have you been marketing this in the SaaS world?
So, I mean, it's cool. I'm glad that we came on, first of all, just because, in my experience, I'm originally, this is my third company that I've co-founded, and but originally really just a software developer and product. And in my founding experience, just learning more and more about the importance of marketing and growth. And it's really important to be thinking of from day one, and more so as we're in this AI space and it's easier and easier to spin up apps and prototypes. So with Rize, we've always had this plan of we wanted to start B2C because we felt like that was where our advantage of it allows us to go right to users. And we felt like it forces you, it's kind of a harder path, but it forces you to build consumer grade quality products. And we're launching a team tier now, which has some really cool features that I'll talk about later, but we've been B2C until now for 4 years. And that's been definitely more challenging, but also we're proud of the success we've had there. And we've always said that we wanted Rize to be sort of like almost like a Whoop or an Apple Watch for your work in some ways. And so our go-to-market has sort of followed similar B2C apps. Like Whoop is a great example. I mean, Whoop blew up when LeBron James started using that. And so our strategy on our go-to-market has really been, who are the LeBron Jameses of productivity? All right. And so it's one of the first people we reached out to was Ali Abdaal, who's a big YouTuber. We sponsored some of his YouTube videos, and he actually loved the app so much he invested in the company. And so he's been an amazing partner. And he's like, probably the pinnacle of this, but we've done this with a lot of creators. So we have a great affiliate program where you get 80% commission first month. And I would say that works for regular users that are sharing with friends. You can apply to be part of it, but all the way up to those higher profile creators. And we have those Rize ambassadors and affiliates, and we do a lot of direct sponsorship, but a lot of like affiliate partnerships across YouTube and Instagram. And we're trying to do more newsletters as well, because first of all, we think Rize is the best productivity out there. The quality is there, so we feel confident reaching out to those creators. And Ali is a great example of someone who, when he sees the quality, he wants to get involved and sort of promote it. And then also that pairs really well with how people find out about tools. I mean, you trust the people who are excelling in their space, and you trust your friends. And so like basically going after leading on that affiliate program and those influencer sponsorships have been really big for us.
Yeah, I see that a lot, especially in the AI SaaS world where they're reaching out to creators. It's the affiliate stuff too. Are you guys leveraging like SEO, paid, any internal content creation, anything like that?
So we've tried a bunch of things. things. And like, I think that's one of the things I'd say with our approach to growth is it's kind of like products. You don't just ship a feature and it's done. You're always talking to users, learning and iterating. And on growth, that's, what we've continued to do. I wouldn't say we've had success in all of them. We've definitely tried some SEO in the past. It's not something we're doing right now. Not explicitly, I'd say. But we do paid. We run paid, and we've had success with paid ads, mostly on Instagram. Now we're mostly just doing some retargeting and targeted campaigns. We do those basically riding the back of our affiliate and ambassador work, because we found that we get those retargeting ads will really connect when after a big campaign with an ambassador, because you have a lot of people who are been on the site, kind of forgot about it, or it's not the right moment, and then we can have a few more touch points with them. So it's more of a secondary channel, but we are starting, we're launching a team tier, which we're super excited about, that allows you to like share tasks and projects that you're tracking on a team level. And with that, sort of in tandem with the app getting much more powerful, customizable, but also maybe a little complex, we're going to be starting creating some of our own content too. And I think that ties into, working with these ambassadors, but we're going to be, doing some videos, a newsletter as well. And it's really focused on I would say, our point of view. Like, we have an idea of how productivity should work based on our experience and promoting focus, breaks, those kind of values that we believe in. And so we're going to be, creating, like I said, newsletter, a lot more content, videos on YouTube, stuff like that moving forward.
I've talked to some of the marketing departments in the AI SaaS world. I've never actually built a SaaS tool myself, but one thing I always tell these people is that there's always a personal brand tied to the big SaaS tools, right? So Neil Patel, whatever his SaaS tool is, or the guy you just mentioned, I'm sure he's going to have a SaaS tool at some point in the future, right? There's always that personal brand connection with the reason for a SaaS tool growing. So there's always like a huge tie in there. But I want to ask you this, McGill, too. Outside of just Rize, what other AI tools are you guys using maybe to power Rize, or maybe just internally, which is content, organizational stuff? Talk about what you're using for AI internally.
Well, I mean, the classics, of course. Like, I'm still doing a fair amount of coding, and we have a
you a vibe coder now with Lovable and Firebase and all that stuff?
I mean, not quite vibe coding yet, but getting there. I'm like amazed at the speed and the power of these. But I do use Cursor just for coding as my IDE, and that has a lot of I'm using Sonnet 3.7, I think, and that does a lot of code completion. I'll chat with the agent in the IDE. I obviously use ChatGPT a lot. That's both for marketing, for some coding stuff. I'll spin it up just to have conversations on higher architecture stuff, and then I'm using Cursor more for when I'm implementing, actually auto completing things. I've been using v0.dev, which is sort of like a Lovable, but it's created by the Vercel team. And that's just for like prototyping UI. It creates UI components, which has been super helpful because it's changing the way we develop. We used to design, then implement, but now you can kind of just design and implement. It's like you're prototyping and then you're polishing, improving.
Yeah, same with the marketing world too. I mean, that stuff's changing all the time. Another question I had for you here, I think this is a very important one, is if someone is trying to copy what you're doing, McGill, and start an AI SaaS business, maybe it took 1, 2, or 3 times, what is some advice that you would give to a founder who's in that position?
Advice for getting the SaaS product off the ground?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say, I think, and this relates to the podcast, really think about, don't start with the product. And this is kind of amazing, but start with the problem and the ideal customer persona. Like, why are you building this and for who? And go very niche. Like, I think in the issue, it's easier than ever to build products.
That's a good point.
These days, right? And if you want to build the product that everyone in the world will use, you can get there, but you need to find a way to break through the noise initially. So the nicher you go, it's going to make everything easier. First, you're going to know who you're serving, so you can go and find those people more easily. Like, it should be so specific, because then you know exactly what you're marketing and you can get really creative. It's not like, I'm going to run a Facebook ad. It's like, I know this type of person, does X, Y, Z. So I'm going to
Establishing that
go
persona.
exactly, and then build on those niche networks. And you can always expand the niche as you grow the product, but start very niche. Then also, then you can build a 5-star experience for that specific person with that product, and then build on that success.
Yeah,
Um,
that
yeah,
makes a
it's
lot
like
of
getting that
sense.
snowball. Yeah.
So in the next 3 to 5 years, McGill, where do you see the future of AI and productivity tools going?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think I do. I'm hesitant to give too many predictions because after these last few, who knows? I do think though, I can say, and this is why we've positioned ourselves this way, but I think that SaaS is moving to a place where like companies are going to get smaller, right? Roles are changing because you can wear more hats because you're moving from just doing a specific job to managing agents that do specific jobs
Yeah,
in the
building
world, right?
automations in N8N or Make that handle all the
Totally.
specific tasks. Yeah,
Yeah. And so like everyone is in a way, let's say everyone is sort of becoming a founder or a manager, like, cause you're moving from just doing these tasks to managing. So like I think first you're going to see the rise of way more 1, 2, 3 person companies. And then, company size is going to go down. And I think that you'll have I think it's going to be a boom for productivity and for markets and creativity where everyone is like, you're going to have a lot more companies out there. But I do think that, yeah, because companies are getting smaller, people are going to have to get better at managing essentially and wearing different hats and context switching, almost being in that founder mode
and there's no
across the
shortage of
board.
distractions either, and I think that's only going to get worse.
Exactly. And like, actually, I think, and that's where Rize comes in. Like, focus is really going to be more and more important because when you're juggling a bunch of different priorities, you just like making sure those get done, not like ignoring the fact that it's getting harder and harder to focus for a bunch of other different reasons. But when you have actually multiple priorities, that's also going to get harder and harder too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, McGill, this is the Marketing Quacks podcast after all. So if you had to define a marketing trick or gimmick that you see in the AI SaaS world or just with AI and productivity, what would that be for you? I'll give you an example to warm you up here.
Okay.
So as a creator,
That'd be
for me,
great.
it's all the clickbait. It's RIP Chat GPT. This new AI tool is going to change everything tomorrow. Oh my God, watch
Yes.
out. The thumbnails, right? That's the big gimmick for me as a creator. So I guess in your world, like a SaaS or just productivity, what would something like that be?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's really, there's a lot out there there are a lot of marketing gimmicks, yeah, around like basically that is going to be so much more powerful. And from the building standpoint, I think maybe, I
I
don't know
think
if
for
this
you
is
guys, a
fully
good one
related.
actually. I
Yeah.
just thought of this. Probably silver
Yeah.
bullet syndrome, right? So there's so many AI SaaS tools. I call it silver bullet syndrome, where they
Yeah.
claim to be a silver bullet to this one particular problem, but that's not true because there's no such thing as a silver bullet, but they market it as a silver bullet for people who don't understand any of this stuff to sign up only to find out that it didn't actually solve all of their problems.
Yeah, and to that end too, I think be careful for AI tools when you see a video like a demo video because I think we've seen that those demo videos are pretty can be often edited even with this new stuff. Like I wouldn't pay for an AI app without a free trial because you're going to want to know how valuable is this, right? Is it something that it's 80% of the way there, but that 20% is really really valuable. So just like make sure you can test around and try these AI tools before actually committing to them. I
Yeah, and
think
I
it's a
think in
red
the
flag if
SaaS
they're
world
making
in
it. Yeah,
particular, a huge gimmick that I always call out, this is notorious with
yeah.
VPNs and hosting platforms. They make the cancellation process almost impossible.
Oh
And
my
they're
god.
trained to do this, right? So if I go and cancel, I'm not going to say who it was, but I canceled a
Yeah.
hosting service. This agent was like, I need your social security number, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, you don't, dude. Cancel the
Yeah.
service. Like, I know this guy's training you to just make it difficult. So I say stop and keep my
Yeah.
subscription going, right? So it's that. And it's also the gimmicky auto renews. So like sometimes they'll have like in
Yeah.
little 2-point font text, you've automatically
Yep.
enabled auto renew. You know where I'm going with this? Like little gimmicks like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's definitely something to watch out for. Yeah. The other thing I would say also, this is less of a gimmick, but just something that came to mind when you're building the SaaS tool, sort of related more to that previous question, but there's so much exciting AI features and things you can do, but just make sure you're solving like the main use case first. And I think maybe you can think of this gimmick. Don't get fooled by the AI features if the core features don't work. So we're a time tracker. We need to automatically track everything, right? Oh, we do a lot of cool things like summarize your day. We can auto tag things,
Right.
but if we don't work in tracking, that's the core of what we do, right? Then like the app's not going to work. So I guess one gimmick is, yeah, you're thinking about these cool AI features that are bonuses, but always make sure you're really looking at the core functionality while you're using this tool is still working.
That's a good point. That's like Shopify adding AI features, but then it doesn't work for their e-commerce or building websites. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So this has been fun, McGill. So I guess where can people follow you online to learn more about what you're doing with Rize?
So head to rize.io. That's our website. You can download the app. We have a free trial, and we'd encourage you to try it out. From there, you can also join our Discord community. We're having this newsletter we're launching too. Everything will be on that website. And then of course, if you have questions, you want to collaborate on something, if you're a creator as well, you can just email me. It's macgill@rize.io. Love hearing from people who are excited about what we're building.
Awesome. Well, I'll leave links to all those in the notes below. I'll give you some SEO
Awesome.
backlink juice with all the podcast platforms as well. So, McGill, thank you so much
Thanks.
for hopping on this episode of the Marketing Quacks podcast. And for everyone listening, be sure to tune in again next time.
Thank you.